back to these pictures coming to us, folks, in Miami, Florida, because Donald Trump is on board his plane that is preparing to fly to the state of New York. There he is there. He's left the motorcade. He is now on board the plane with his inner circle. He'll be giving a widely distributed speech. Every network across the world will be running this in the next couple of hours. It's scheduled to be at about 10 o'clock Eastern Australian time, so a few hours to come. But that flight will take a little more than an hour to get from Florida to New York State. So while we're looking at these pictures, let's bring in the political analyst and professor at Curtin University, Joe Siracusa, for his take. Joe, what do you make of this morning and the events of what's happened?
Hey, good morning, Pete. Well, what do you say about a man whose name is on the airplane? You think he's too worried? This is another day at the office for Donald Trump. You know, he's been accused of a lot of things. So, I don't think these charges are going to hold up, but you know, he's got some real advantages here. Number one is it's a home game, so you know he doesn't have to go to New York State.
Well, it's in his own state. That's right. But I mean, New York's his own state too. Couldn't you argue that?
The mayor who provided security today is going to be running for president himself. So he's in a very interesting place. Look, I don't think he's going to have too much trouble down the road. And if he does, is this. We're going to have appeals and appeals. This probably won't go to trial for a year. And then after that, it would go to the appellate courts and then to the Supreme Court of the United States, you know, which is the majority of whom were appointed by Trump. So, you know, he's got this one covered, as a matter of fact. Look, my concern is this is a documents case. The Presidential Records Act, which I had to abide by. I've used all these documents all my lifetime. And they got the documents back. So, you know, the idea that they criminalize the Presidential Records Act is like, you know, criminalizing people who have overdue library books. And look, Pete, you're going to have a tough time proving in an open court that these documents were highly sensitive or gave away the nation's secrets. If he was giving away the number of strategic bombs, or he was giving away nuclear codes, that would be one thing. But these things, aside from the, you know, the great labels on them, top secret, the president's eyes only, and that kind of stuff, they don't contain that many secrets, and America doesn't have that many secrets. Well, but I think Trump is using this very well. I mean, he's turning it all into political hay.
Yeah, no, I went through all of this yesterday once I got off air, and I got into the Espionage Act, Joe, and basically, for folks who aren't aware, as the plane's now on the move, as as Joe pointed out, anyone who's got their name on a plane ain't worried about much. It's an anti-spy law passed by Congress more than a century ago. So what it does is cracks down on wartime activities considered dangerous or disloyal, and that includes attempts to acquire defense-related information. Here's the key: with intent to harm the United States. So what the indictment revealed was that basically Donald Trump had all these documents, top secret, relating to military, Five Eyes partners, including Australia, etc. And what he was doing was showing people who weren't supposed to see them while plotting to keep authorities away from finding out what he had. So is that enough to send a president behind bars, Joe? I don't think it is.
No, there's not enough weight there. And keep in mind that the arraignment or the indictments come from a majority. I think 25, 30 people sit on that grand jury, and the level of proof there is balance of probability, whereas now we're going to beyond reasonable doubt, and you're never going to be able to prove that. I'm pretty familiar, by the way, with the Espionage Act. President Wilson used it to throw all of his political enemies in jail. One guy went to jail for about 20 years for having an anti-American movie, a pro-German movie. Eugene Debs, who was running for president, was thrown in jail for about 7 or 8 years until President Wilson died. I mean, you know, it was used for political motives. But, you know, the president didn't try to sell any of this stuff. He didn't burn anything or any of this. Look, it's going to be hard to prove. And I think the Democrats have probably run out of cards now. I mean, you know, you've got them on all these other charges. What else can you do? But, you know, and someone's pointed out if he becomes president, he could probably pardon himself. And of course,
Well, there is that. Yeah,
the Constitution doesn't say he can't pardon himself.
Joe, I'm just looking at this plane. I mean, it is a big, beautiful plane. You know, I can't stop looking at it. But anyway, as you mentioned there, it's an unrelenting campaign that the Democrats have launched against Donald Trump, and so far it's been unsuccessful. We've spoken about that at great length. So if you don't think this current case sticks, and if you don't think the Stormy Daniels case sticks, you've also got election tampering in Georgia. That's around the corner. You've got January 6th and the 2020 aftermath. That's around the corner. E. Jean Carroll, that's continuing, plus a business fraud case in New York City. Does any of those stick?
Not really. They're not going to harm the president. Most of those cases are he said, she said, or somebody used rorts within the company to pay for the kids' tuition, the grandkids' tuition. These cases don't amount to much, and I don't like to use the word political motivation here or this witch hunt. I mean, but they have come after this guy hammer and tongs now, since you and I were talking about this in 2016. The Mueller report, and then the impeachment, the January 6th. By the way, the January 6th conclusion is going to be brought down by the same special prosecutor who came down with this one. So Jack Smith might have something else. Pete, the very idea that you have to go out and get an experienced war crimes prosecutor to come after a former president strikes me as mad. Now, the judge today gave him a send-off. There are no restrictions. The judge didn't tell him to shut up this time the way the judge did in New York City. And, he's free to go wherever he wants to go. And they may tell him not to talk to a couple of people. The guy I felt sorry for today was his personal aide, Walter Knott, who I guess he wasn't in rain because he didn't have a local counsel, a local lawyer with him. But, here you have the president of the United States and his valet. You see, if this were British, this would be a Peter Sellers movie. You couldn't invent this stuff.
So, as you pointed out there, Joe, okay, so this leads to appeals. This doesn't get sorted before the next election, which Donald Trump has a very good chance of winning. If he doesn't win, we've got a minute left before we go to break, folks. If he doesn't win the election, does it come back? Does it just go away? Does Biden go after him even more so? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it would go away. If Biden were to win again, he wouldn't bother. He wouldn't be bothering Trump because it's already served his purpose.
Yeah.
But look, everything the Democrats have done, Pete, has boomeranged on them. They keep coming after this guy. And these bullets keep turning around and hitting them. They think they're being very clever here, but they're not, because the American people can see a comedy coming a mile away, and they don't believe this kind of stuff. And it's like watching a great series here now. What the president reminds me of is J.R. Ewing in the last episode of Dallas. So we're all waiting for the next episode. Look, this guy's got a sense of theater, got a sense of television, got a sense of timing. And I'll tell you what, I'm not betting against this guy for the rest of my life.
Okay, and it's his birthday today, Joe. 77 today is Donald Trump. How timely.
That's a great birthday present. I'm sure he's going to have a cake and have a big laugh about this. And of course, the key here is just watch his wife. If she sticks with him, he's got a good chance of beating all this. If she happens to disappear for 6 months, then he's in trouble.
Do you think, and I'm just watching the plane depart, and we're going to go to a break in a sec, but what's he going to say in a couple of hours' time in his big speech, Joe?
Well, he's going to say he got screwed over again. I mean, that's the standard speech, just fill in the blanks. I mean, I'm getting screwed over again and again. And of course, it's just possible he is. Yeah.
Okay. Joe Siracusa, it is always good to chat. We'll talk to you again soon.